CBS Sports presents the Prudential College Football Report. Bigger than life.
Jim Nantz in New York. Welcome back to the Prudential College Football Report. So Florida State leading over the #1 team thanks to two reasons: the pressure on Vinny Testaverde in the first half and special teams for the Seminoles. Let's check other active top 10 scores. Michigan has a touchdown, 13-yard run by Jim Harbaugh, the lead over Illinois. Auburn and Florida, that game has just started, and the Tigers have a quick touchdown at Florida Field. Alabama on the ground today, almost 300 yards in the first half. Mike Shula has had to attempt only 2 passes. Bobby Humphreys picked up 130 yards of that total on the ground. There's 1 touchdown, and they lead it 21-3 late in the second quarter. Now, other top 10 teams playing later today: Penn State and West Virginia. Washington, Arizona State is the real big one, and in the Southwest Conference, Texas A&M has a game against SMU that will be very important in the Southwest Conference. In the Midwest, Ohio State and Iowa. The Buckeyes have beaten Hawkeyes 18 of the last 19 times. Ohio State has come back to score the last 2 touchdowns. Here's the one that's put them in front: George Cooper from 9 yards, and they lead it there in the second quarter, 14-7. Indiana has a freshman tailback by the name of Anthony Thompson with 20 carries, 149 yards, and that's only in the second quarter as they're topping Wisconsin. Colorado, the team that last week upset Nebraska, they are trailing today against Oklahoma State, 14-3.
So the backfield has Crawford, Jones, Peterson, and Benny Wright. Benny White and Mark Charette. Outside, and Andy Peterson, the fullback.
It's a Boston College a little bit. I think they have to do that ever so often in this ball game to move the football.
It's the broken bone now. Straight off tackle with Andy Peterson. Now the pressure is on the offensive team. Second down and 8 on the 39-yard line. Perfect tackle by John Brown. With the alternating fullback, Turner. Good look at Sean Howard, a graduate student. He's a 5th-year senior. Shadows of Doug Cody for his first 2 years. Flips it downfield, but it's behind the intended receiver, Kasparov. 75 tackle the top. Howard has plenty of time, and the opening is there for him, so he gets it up for a first down at the 47-yard line. Lou Davey finally making the stop. Howard is really mainly a drop-back passer and doesn't have a lot of fluid movement back there. Just came in for a short time, and then Duffy plays again. Second down and 10. Big hole, one from 42 yards out. He had 2 from 41 last week. It is good. So Brian Lowe, a walk-on soccer player, a sophomore, gets his 5th field goal in a 2-week period, and he has put the Eagles of Boston College back up on top by the score of 10-7. We have 10:26 to go in the second period, and when we come back,
we love the winner, and I'm no different. So here's today's button sent to me from Ole Miss this week. As you can say, it says "Beat the Gumbo out of LSU." Now, for you LSU fans who are angered by this button, I'll point out that it would have been replaced by this LSU button had that last field goal gone through the uprights, but it didn't, so that button stays here, and this button will stay on the lapel during the post-game show. Meanwhile, let's pick up the scores. Number 1 ranked Miami of Florida beat Florida State 41-23 today. The Hurricanes trailed 20-14 at halftime, got a huge second half, more than 200 yards passing in the second half from Vinny Testaverde. Here's a look at some highlights from the game in which Testaverde passed Bernie Kosar on the list of career touchdown passes thrown at the University of Miami. This, in fact, Testaverde's first touchdown pass of the game, with 23 yards to Alonzo Highsmith in the second quarter. Snapped the 7-7 tie. It was the 40th of Testaverde's career at Miami. It was from 23 yards out. It made it 14-7. In the third quarter, with Florida State leading 20-14, Testaverde took the Hurricanes on a long drive to open the second half, went in himself from 8 yards out. 1 of 2 running touchdowns scored today by the leading Heisman Trophy candidate. That made it 21-20 Miami. And then in the fourth quarter, after an FSU field goal had put him back on top at 23-21, Testaverde hit blades from 20 yards out. 27-23 Miami. That touchdown pass broke Kosar's record altogether. Testaverde threw for 3 and ran for 2 on the day. 21 of 35 for 316 yards passing. Michigan beat Illinois 69-13. The Illini dropped to 2-6. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's outstanding quarterback, had another brilliantly efficient day. 11 of 13 in the air, 224 yards, 1 touchdown passing, 2 touchdowns running. Ohio State remains in the running for the Rose Bowl. The Buckeyes, who lost those 2 games to Alabama and Washington to open the season, are now 7-2 and unbeaten in the Big Ten after a resounding 31-10 win at Iowa. Iowa led early 7-0 on a Kerry Byrne interception return, but then Jim Crusados produced the big play. In the last few weeks, Ohio State has started to shake Chris Carter loose. Certainly one of the nation's 5 or 6 best receivers. Carter, as you saw there, got away from the defensive back with 72 yards for the touchdown that tied it at 7-7, and the Bucs went on to a 31-10 win. Meanwhile, Alabama poured it on Mississippi State 38-3. Mike Shula completed only 1 pass in the game. Passing wasn't necessary because of what Bobby Humphrey did. And there are his stats for the day. 30 carries, 284 yards, and 3 TDs. You'll recall that Humphrey had a huge game against Tennessee a couple of weeks ago, and then, along with the rest of the Alabama running attack, was grounded by Penn State a week ago. But today, the Tide was back in gear. That 49-yard run, just one of several long ones for Bobby Humphrey, and Alabama is now on the inside track to the Sugar Bowl, largely because unbeaten, untied Auburn fell today at Florida. The Tigers took a 17-0 lead in the 4th quarter, but Florida brought senior quarterback Kerwin Bell onto the field for the first time in 4 weeks today, and Bell generated all 18 Florida points. Threw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Ricky Nattiel with 36 seconds left, ran the 2-pointer in himself, allowed the Gators to overcome 7 turnovers, and again, I'll mention it one more time, never in the history of the Heisman Trophy has a team gone unbeaten and untied the year after a Heisman Trophy winner graduated. Auburn joins that long list. As you saw, Mississippi upset LSU at Baton Rouge. First time that Ole Miss has beaten LSU in Death Valley since Archie Manning wore number 18 for the Rebels 18 years ago. I'll be back. The Oklahoma-Kansas game, before Kansas' 4th quarter field goal, OU had gone 177 playing minutes without giving up a point. Earl Johnson, 17 carries, 203 yards, 4 touchdowns. Colorado is tied with OU atop the Big 8 at 4-0 after a 31-14 come-from-behind victory over Oklahoma State. They trailed 14-3 and scored 28 straight points in the second half. Nebraska cruised past Kansas State 38-0 in the snow. The game was delayed at one point so that blizzard snow could be shoveled off of the field. Texas A&M and SMU played a wild game, and the Aggies got a gutty win on a Murray to Woodside 34-yard touchdown pass with less than 2 minutes to go. A&M pulled it out after the 8th lead change, 39-35. They remain unbeaten in the Southwest Conference. They have a showdown coming up in 2 weeks with Arkansas, which beat Rice 45-14 today. That could be the game for the Cotton Bowl bid. UCLA has run back 2 interceptions for touchdowns in the 3rd quarter, one of them a 100-yard return by Alan Dial, and the Bruins, making their annual late-season Rose Bowl run, lead Oregon State in Portland 42-0. Texas fell to Texas Tech 23-21. Tyrone Thurman, 5 feet 3 inches and 130 pounds, smallest player in major college football, had a 96-yard punt return for the Red Raiders in the game. Syracuse won a seesaw battle over Pittsburgh 24-20. More importantly than that, when you look ahead to next week's Pitt-Miami game, John Congemi, the senior Pittsburgh quarterback, left the game early with a back sprain, came back, and at one point put Pitt ahead, but also threw 3 interceptions in the game as Pitt's bowl hopes were severely damaged. Meanwhile, Boston College beat Army 27-20. Troy Stratford, 34 carries, 240 yards, and a touchdown. Clemson beat Wake Forest 28-20. Terrence Flagler, 22 carries, 209 yards, and 2 TDs. Or 4 TDs because he caught 2 touchdown passes. Now, here's the wildest game aside from A&M and SMU. North Carolina beat Maryland 32-30. That is only half the story of this game. It is a game in which North Carolina led 20-0 in the first half behind a brilliant performance by Mark May, the quarterback, and then Maryland came back, largely on long passes like this one from Dan Henning to James Millen. This 88-yarder with 19 seconds left in the 3rd quarter put Maryland on top 30-29. Oh, check that. That was the 77-yarder with 19 seconds left in the first half, which brought Maryland to within 20-7. This is the 88-yarder late in the 4th quarter, which gave Maryland a 30-29 lead. Now, here's where the action began. North Carolina called timeout to line up for a game-winning field goal with 4 seconds left. Bobby Ross, under the impression that the Tar Heels were out of timeouts, began to argue with the officials and state his case. No timeouts were listed on the scoreboard for North Carolina, but the officials said that Mark May, 5 minutes earlier, had not asked for a timeout, had rather just motioned for the ball to be moved to the hash mark on a 2-point extra point try. Then Glamis kicked the 28-yard field goal, which won the game for Carolina as time ran out 32-20. Meanwhile, there are some important games tonight, most notably Arizona State, 7th ranked, against Washington, 6th ranked, and that's the rest of the team. Remains that way. The Lions led 28-14 at the half, but lost to Villanova today, 42-34, 28 losses in a row, 31 games without a win for Columbia. North Carolina State got a play after time had run out because of a penalty against South Carolina. Eric Kramer threw a 33-yard touchdown pass to Danny Peebles, and the Wolfpack won 23-22. Wisconsin is advertising its coaching job in the NCAA newsletter, and Indiana is 5-3 after a 21-7 victory for the Hoosiers today. Purdue got a Jonathan Briggs 25-yard field goal with 4 seconds left and beat Northwestern 17-16. Freshman sensation quarterback Jeff George didn't play and denies the rumor that he is considering transferring away from Purdue. Virginia Tech got a 49-yard field goal on the last play with the clock running, Chris Kinzer's 16th in a row, and beat Kentucky 17-15. Peach Bowl scouts there to see the game left in the fourth quarter to catch a plane and did not see the game-winning field goal. And so next week we hope you'll join us.
Okay. Let's roar into sports. Roar into it. Okay. The Nittany Lions were up in the mountains tonight for a football game. Morgantown, the site. Penn State versus West Virginia, the occasion. Head coach Joe Paterno always expects a good game from the Mountaineers. Let's see if he got it. The second-ranked Nittany Lions showed why they are highly ranked. Let's go up top. Johnny Schaefer would find DJ Dozier down the sideline for the score. It was 7-0 PSU. The Lions would kick a few points on the board as well. Massimo Monca put 4 field goals over the crossbar. He was 4 out of 6. No monkeying around tonight. He accounted for 12 with the Lions' 19 points. PSU in a shutout, 19-0. They are 8-0. Penn State wins Delaware over Maine 34-31. Rutgers shut out Louisville 41-0. Wilkes 24, Widener 15. The Penn Quakers are still perfect in the one-loss column for 1986. Win number 7 today. It came against Princeton on the road. Great catches like this by Ken Saunders helped the Quaker cause. Pennsylvania the final 23-10 over Princeton. Other scores tonight: Franklin and Marshall over Swarthmore 24-8. Millersville 38.